Welcome to MojoPlays, and today we're re-ranking every Assassin's Creed game up to and including Mirage.
Fine, but only for a minute.
A minute is all I need.
Indeed.
Well, wait, that came out wrong.
Before we begin, we publish new content all week long, so be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos.
Number 14, Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation.
I'll have my best dress ready. Or my worst. Fear not, Gerald. I'll uncover his true purpose.
This is the only non-mainline game on our list, and it's enjoyed an HD re-release on home consoles since being bundled with Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered. If you didn't play Liberation, you're sorely missing out on a well-made classic AC story.
Why would you want to know? Bah! Don't you worry, my little armhead. The cargo found its way to the intended recipient.
It's not as graphically impressive as its contemporaries, as well as being much shorter, but it's still a very fun way to spend a few hours. Aveline operates in New Orleans, still a French colony, as an assassin looking for her long-lost mother, exploring the city, the surrounding bayou, and eventually Mesoamerican ruins down in Mexico. Though it's got some jank, like those canoe missions, it's still one of the best games ever released for the PS Vita. Number 13, Assassin's Creed.
I spare you only that you may return to your master and deliver a message. The Holy Land is lost to him and his. He should flee now while he has the chance.
You could argue that the first game is a bit of a sacred cow in the world of Assassin's Creed. It's true that it was a landmark title when it launched over 15 years ago, but it's definitely showing its age, and the truth is that all of its sequels improved the formula. But you won't regret going back to where it all began, exploring 3 huge open cities, Jerusalem, Damascus, and Acre, as Altair, a disgraced assassin during the Third Crusade. What starts as a simple historical romp with a sci-fi concept becomes something much greater by the end, with revelations about the pieces of Eden and the first civilization coming quickly. It's a spectacular game, and it undeniably changed the industry.
If the deaths of a few people, evil people no less, could save the lives of thousands more, well, it seems a small sacrifice.
Number 12, Assassin's Creed Rogue.
We bring order from chaos. If everything is permitted, no one is safe.
The awkward middle child between the 7th and 8th console generations, Rogue was a game a lot of people skipped in favor of playing Unity at launch on their brand new consoles. At the time, that was likely a mistake, as Unity was rough around the edges and Rogue was an underrated gem. It has all the fun naval combat of Black Flag, but much further north, in the Hudson River Valley and the icy North Atlantic Ocean. But it did suffer a little from arriving on last-gen consoles, pushing the limits of what those machines could handle. It eventually got a remaster, but it's clear that Ubisoft's priorities were elsewhere. Rogue just didn't get the attention it deserved, having underdeveloped characters and a much shorter runtime. Number 11, Assassin's Creed 3.
Your kind has no need for books and maps. Who put you up to this?
Never seen a person. It's always been dead drops and letters. But they always pay, so we do the jobs.
The true black sheep of the franchise, Assassin's Creed 3 is a difficult one to talk about. At launch, people weren't as fond of Connor as they were of Ezio, and many didn't warm to him at all. It also didn't play as well, changing the controls to make countering trickier, making changing weapons very frustrating, and having unclear maps. Thankfully, all these criticisms were addressed in the remaster, albeit 7 years later, even if the convoy trading minigame remains immensely confusing.
We're ready to go again if you are.
This is unwise.
Why's that? You think I'm afraid of you?
It still introduced many iconic characters, however, like Haytham Kenway, and took the franchise away from the Mediterranean to focus on the tumultuous American Revolution.
Well, then I'd best be on my way.
Number 10, Assassin's Creed Revelations.
You are spread a bit thin, Yusuf. Let me speak with the Romanis myself. I have had so little contact with them in the past.
Like Rogue, Revelations is another game that many fans hold dear, but which also could have done with more time in the oven. A city still caught between the dying Byzantine Empire and the rise of the Ottomans is superb, but it's definitely too short. We'd love to have spent even more time exploring the city. Learning about Altair's legacy is a point in Revelation's favor, but its gameplay elements left much to be desired. The Assassin Recruit minigame reached its apex, sure, but it also added the widely derided den defense missions. However, it's still a lot of fun and a great classic title. Number 9, Assassin's Creed Mirage.
To strip the flesh from my bones? Dine on my innards? Never has much to say, yet it leaves its mark.
The latest game in the franchise, Mirage is a return to form in many ways, but when you pit it against the greatest AC games of all time, it can't really hold its own, unfortunately. It's also hindered by the fact that you won't feel the full weight of its story if you didn't finish the extremely long story of Valhalla. Still, we can't help but enjoy it for the raft of classic features it brings back.
There you are! No one will find me!
True eagle vision, black box assassination missions, social stealth, and even some more diverse mechanics like tailing missions. It's a love letter to those classic games that doesn't quite reach their lofty heights, but with the benefit of next-gen performance, excellent graphics, and one of the best cities in the series. Number 8, Assassin's Creed Valhalla. It's perhaps the most divisive game of all of them. On one hand, it's Ubisoft's best-selling AC game ever, and seems to have a large number of fans who didn't play the series at all before this. But hardcore fans didn't all like the way it doubled down on massive amounts of content in such a huge, often bleak, open world. But it's still a lot of fun. Supported by many DLCs that some said were actually better than the base game. Its story may sideline the Brotherhood of Assassins a little, despite introducing Basim, but it returned to the Isu lore in an even bigger way than Odyssey. At last, we've got a great Viking simulator, complete with a settlement building minigame and longship raids. Number 7, Assassin's Creed Unity.
Did you see their faces when we stole those apples? I'm Arno. Elise.
The most infamous game in the series, it's impossible to talk about Unity at all without mentioning the many bugs and glitches it was plagued with at launch. But that was in 2014, and if you play Unity today, you'll find that it's actually one of the best AC games ever made. The story is great, even if Elise is a more interesting character than Arno ever was, and the graphics are phenomenal. And if you've got an Xbox Series X, you can play it with FPS boost enabled for a rock-solid 60 frames per second gameplay experience. Something previously only a high-end PC could achieve. Its issues have largely been fixed, and it's now potentially the most graphically impressive game in the franchise.
Oh, no. You're not turning this into a repeat of that apple orchard.
Stop being such a baby. I'm sure there aren't any guard dogs this time. Go!
Number 6, Assassin's Creed Origins.
How does this Apollodorus know these things?
He has informants everywhere, because of his work with Cleopatra.
But Cleopatra? She's been declared a criminal.
Ubisoft took a gamble with Origins, giving us the entirety of ancient Egypt to explore, as well as overhauling the combat system and adding Sinew, the first playable eagle in the series. We traveled back to the demise of Ptolemaic Egypt, and saw how the assassins, originally the hidden ones, were born from Cleopatra's betrayal of Egypt in favor of powerful Romans.
You are the only queen worthy of the throne!
Give me the powder. Caesar thinks a woman cannot do this job.
Origins is also gorgeous, up there alongside Unity as one of the best looking releases in Ubisoft's catalog. It's got some issues, like introducing grindy, necessary side content for the first time, but it was otherwise a wildly successful soft reboot of Assassin's Creed.
Freedom is not given, Caesar. It is taken.
Number 5, Assassin's Creed Syndicate.
Your Grandmaster will fall.
You assassins can circle London to your heart's content. The mechanism we have built has been going strong for 100 years.
Following Unity's catastrophic launch, a lot of people seem to skip Syndicate, the most modern mainline game in the series. But Syndicate is a perfect Assassin's Creed game, with one of the best stories and 2 iconic protagonists.
You could continue his legacy in London.
Freeing future generations from a city ruled by Templars.
Jacob and Evie Fry are both a lot of fun to play as while you liberate Victorian London, with unique weapons like the cane sword and the kukri that have, sadly, never returned. It's also got the grappling hook, the first big addition to the parkour since the hook blade in Revelations, and one of the more detailed and lived-in maps. Finally, the Jack the Ripper DLC elevates Syndicate to an entirely new level. Number 4, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. It's bigger than Origins and generally even grindier, but the pros of Odyssey easily outweigh its cons. Only a few short missions in Origins utilized the series' beloved naval combat, but in Odyssey, it was back and just as fun as ever, letting you sail across the Greek archipelago and sink ships to your heart's content.
I'm poor myself, you know. I did something wrong.
You know Hermes. He can be a trickster.
The story is long and at times a little all over the place, but ancient Greece is such a joy to explore that it's easy to forgive. You're going on a true Odyssey, fighting dangerous beasts, mythical creatures, and tipping the balance of power in the war between Athens and Sparta. And Cassandra is still a fan-favorite protagonist.
Tell your boss he can stick it.
That's for last week!
Number 3, Assassin's Creed 4, Black Flag.
Would I be correct in thinking you are Dutch?
I am indeed. I thought as much. Woods Rogers. A pleasure.
The same.
Odyssey's naval combat might have been great, but it has nothing on Black Flag, which still may be the greatest pirate game ever made. You take on the mantle of Edward Kenway, a disillusioned privateer who turns to a life of crime on the high seas.
Su más humilde servidor, el gobernador Laureano Torres y Ayala.
Though he initially pursues wealth above all else, he eventually sees the error of his ways and joins the assassins to rid the Caribbean of the Templar Order. And it really is the entire Caribbean. You've got nearly all of it to explore, with big cities like Havana and Kingston recreated. Black Flag is nearly perfect, and maybe it would have been our number 1 pick if it didn't have so many tailing missions. Number 2, Assassin's Creed 2.
I'm sorry, where are my manners? I'm Sean Hastings. This is Rebecca Crane.
Nice to meet you, Desmond.
Right, well, it's been lovely chatting, but if you don't mind, Desmond, it's best we get straight to work.
Assassin's Creed 1 was already a world-class innovator on launch. But then, Assassin's Creed 2 did everything the first game did, only better. It gave us Ezio, took us from the darkness of the Crusades to Renaissance Florence, and had a plot following a conspiracy going all the way to the top of the Catholic Church.
You and your collaborators are hereby sentenced to death.
It's difficult to come up with anything bad to say about Assassin's Creed 2, other than we really wish Ubisoft would hurry up and remake it so that we can explore all those cities all over again. One of its only negatives is that some of its story content was left unfinished and released as paid DLC, but that's more a strike against Ubisoft itself than the game.
I've given you the skills, Leonardo's given you the blade. All that remains is the deed.
Number 1, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Better in the hands of the earth than in the hands of man.
Uncle.
What can I say? We sent a single man against an entire army. I was worried.
Hopes were high for Brotherhood in 2010. Could Assassin's Creed 2 ever be topped? The answer was a resounding yes, because Brotherhood was AC2 multiplied by 10. It had everything good about 2, with a great story, compelling characters, and a despicable villain, but it streamlined the experience significantly.
I reap your entrails for that.
Ezio had more weapons, more unique animations, he was more mobile this time, and focused on a single goal: stop Cesare Borgia from using the Apple of Eden for evil. It may have been shorter than 2, giving us just one area to explore, but this was a case of quality over quantity. Brotherhood is undoubtedly a masterpiece, and that's why it's our number 1 pick. Let us know in the comments what your favorite Assassin's Creed game is.
Virtù, Machiavelli.
Virtù. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, there's more where that came from.